first jihadist attack in Bamako, with previous attacks targeting civilian entities. It was the most significant on a military target of such strategic importance. Jamaatul Nusrat al-Islam wal-Muslimin, an Al-Qaeda affiliated and the main jihadist group operating in Mali, claimed responsibility for the simultaneous attacks reportedly by a small group of militants. The recent attack in Bamako highlights the alarming resilience of terrorists who, despite over a decade of military efforts aimed at countering their threat, continue to execute complex attacks. This forces us all to collectively examine whether such incidents could have been prevented through enhanced cooperation among regional states, particularly by improving information and intelligence sharing. You will all recall that to address the emerging threats of terrorism and insurgency in the Sahel-Saharan region, the Nouakchott process was established in 2013 as a mechanism to foster vital collaboration. However, the ongoing violence in the Sahel by terrorists underscored the need for a renewed commitment to these efforts. Terrorism and insurgency, in particular jihadist insurgency, has been a feature in the Sahel region for decades. Groups like Al-Qaeda have been present in the region since 2003 and have exploited both political and security challenges faced by some countries in the north. This has seen the spread of jihadist and separatist insurgency to regional neighbors. Currently, terrorism in the region is dominated by two main groups: Janim, that is the Jamaatul Nusrat al-Islam wal-Muslimin, or the group for supporting Islam and Muslims, formed in 2007 as a coalition of Al-Qaeda units, and the ISGS, the Islamic State in the Greater Sahel, formed in 2015. However, there is also Boko Haram in the Lake Chad Basin. As with other terrorist movements elsewhere, these movements do not emerge out of thin air. They emerge due to socio-economic pressures, political grievances, environmental degradation, climate change, and the competition for resources, as well as deficits in governance, including corruption, abuse of human civil rights, and the perceived growing gap between the political class and the civilian population, the majority of whom live in poverty. Unfortunately, these are conditions that have marred the countries of the Sahel. Additionally, perceived grievances by local communities have been exploited by terrorist organizations and insurgent groups, and they've taken advantage of them to establish themselves in particular areas of these countries. This has, over the years, been accompanied by a steady withdrawal of the state from large parts of the affected communities. In such a situation, these terrorist groups have found ways to set up their quasi-administrations, backed by a willingness to use extreme violence in which they finance their activities, including recruitment, through taxation on artisanal gold mining, trade in goods, both licit and illicit, and importantly, illicit smuggling of contraband, human smuggling, and poaching. Other contributing factors have been policy choices by countries in the region as well as by other international partners. For example, the growth of terrorism and its impact on the Mediterranean region has led to deliberate policy decisions by many of the partner countries to privilege counterterrorism as a key element in support to countries of the region. This securitization of development assistance has contributed to the militarization of governments in the region, while at the same time not leading to a reduction of terrorism in the region. Recent events in the Sahel highlight the inadequacy of military solutions for combating terrorism. As we know, terrorism thrives on local factors like disaffected communities, unresponsive governance, limited opportunities for youth, and socio-economic stressors. These issues, including corruption, ethnic tensions, and a lack of state presence in rural areas, fuel terrorism by alienating local population. This brings us to the question of what can be done collectively to confront this growing threat in the region. In its initial attempt to tackle this issue, the African Union encountered difficulties due to the fact that the threat transcended the boundaries of the 5 regions, affecting multiple areas simultaneously. While the West African sub-region may be the storm at present, we have already seen that many of the triggers come from outside of the region, from the north, as well as the impact of the trans-Saharan smuggling routes to the Mediterranean. North African countries are significantly impacted. That Sahel, as a geographic term, extends from the Atlantic Ocean, from Mauritania and Senegal, all the way to the Red Sea in Sudan and including Chad and the northern Cameroon, Central African Republic. The African Union's efforts have also been focused on creating mechanisms and allowing for the different regions to cooperate with each other. As the title of this meeting indicates, there is a need for a collective security approach that goes beyond mere coordination of different initiatives, and there is an increasingly urgent need for the affected states to work together. Given the scale and the transnational nature of terrorism, it is important that all regional organizations work together with the African Union and sub-regional organizations such as ECOWAS. And the African Union, we firmly believe that a military approach is not sustainable for the region. The essential first step in stabilizing areas affected by terrorism involves not only neutralizing these groups, but also establishing a secure environment that enables other key stakeholders to engage in rebuilding efforts. This will allow displaced populations to safely return to their homes. Historically, the clear hold build strategy, which has been the cornerstone of counterinsurgency efforts, has faced increasing criticism. Its shortcomings, particularly in sustaining the hold and build phases, have become evident, especially when quick military results are prioritized over sustainable stabilization. In response to these challenges, the African Union has intensified its efforts in the Sahel by implementing quick impact and peace strengthening projects. These initiatives focus on providing essential resources such as boreholes, rehabilitating schools, and promoting income-generating activities aimed at empowering women and youth. Through these efforts, we aim to create a sustainable security framework that fosters community resilience and supports the region's recovery. But given the scale of the needs, this is obviously a drop in the ocean. The challenges are too big for any one organization or country to confront on its own, and we need to pull our efforts together. More than often, we have focused our efforts on the core countries of the Central Sahel, but we must extend our concerns to the coastal countries as terrorism continues to spread. Excellencies, countries such as Benin are facing a growing threat, and evidence suggests that the spread southwards has been rather haphazard by Janim and ISGS, and in conflict between the two terrorist organizations has slowed their movement southwards. But the littoral countries need to learn from the experiences of the Sahelian countries. Countries like Mauritania have had encouraging successes in neutralizing the efforts of terrorist groups. This is an opportunity to bring various initiatives, ECOWAS, Accra Initiative, Nouakchott, and all other frameworks closer together. Excellencies, to conclude, I would like to propose some recommendations that could strengthen our collective efforts in countering terrorism in the Sahel. First, we must prioritize improving existing frameworks to optimize information and intelligence sharing among stakeholders. This is a crucial step in ensuring that our combined efforts are well informed and strategic. Second, it is essential to strike a balance between kinetic and non-kinetic approaches when devising stabilization interventions. In doing so, we can effectively address both the immediate security threats and the underlying root causes of terrorism. Third, in line with the African Union's strong commitment to humanitarian principles and the protection of civilians, we must take additional measures to avoid the stigmatization of certain communities and prevent overhanded responses by security forces. Ensuring strict adherence to international humanitarian law and human rights law during military operations will contribute to building trust and fostering long-term stability. Finally, our collective experience in combating terrorism across Africa emphasizes the need for sustainable financing and partnerships to support both military intervention and stabilization efforts. By embracing these recommendations, the African Union believes we can create a more effective, strategic, and holistic approach to combating terrorism in the greater Sahel-Saharan region and including the Gulf of Guinea. Excellency, Mr. Minister General, I would like to thank you and all the esteemed representatives here for your kind attention. Merci beaucoup.